Hey gang, want to talk with you a little bit about the different kinds of CCW holders out there. And there's generally 3 kinds of CCW holders. Really 3 different philosophies around carrying. And let me just list them out for you. We're going to talk about them. So the first philosophy or type of CCW holder is, their philosophy is, my CCW is for me and only me. If anybody else around me, to include my family or entourage, is in trouble, too bad, so sad. It's not coming out. I am not going to defend you using a firearm. Okay? Now, that's one extreme.
Yeah.
The second philosophy says, my CCW is for me and my immediate family or entourage, whoever is rolling with me that day. Okay? So think about it this way. You have a guy who's got a wife and children. They're cruising down the sidewalk or something. Somebody attacks the wife and children. Of course, this philosophy number 2 kind of guy is going to go ahead and use this firearm to defend the family. However, if you're outside of that circle of trust, too bad, so sad. Not going to use the firearm. So there's the limit there. So my CCW is for me and my immediate family or entourage.
Right.
The third philosophy says, my CCW is for me and anyone. I am driven more by my morals than I am about anything else. So therefore, if I see somebody, my fellow man or whatever, getting into trouble, I'm going to use my CCW to defend them because I cannot live with myself if I did not do that. Okay, so there's 3 kinds. And if you see, number 1 and number 3 are essentially 2 ends of the spectrum. Okay, so let's get into the first one.
Right. First, any of these types of CCW holders, fully within the law, right?
Oh, yes.
None of it's illegal. Like, you can watch somebody get killed, unfortunately.
Yeah, you could be like, man, that sucks.
Right.
What's for lunch?
And call 911, right? That's good.
Hey, yo, I'm live. This dude is getting schwacked.
Exactly. So there's that too. So there's that, absolutely illegal. But let's talk about the first one, right?
Yep.
Gun is for me, for myself only.
Not my problem.
I'm definitely not that guy. I'm sure you're not that guy. Majority of the team is not. All of the team are not that people. But there are guys and gals out there like that, though. Whether it be the lack of skill, lack of confidence, it's just the way they think. That's okay, because more than likely they're just going to defend themselves. At least that's one less person we got to think about, right? But it is pretty dark, in my opinion.
It could be. It could be.
Could be dark, you know.
Yeah.
But
see, it's, you're talking about morals because you're using your morals to discern that opinion, right? So different people, different morals.
And most of the time too, these are usually the people that tend to get home alive and stay safe, right? Majority of situations tend to not lead into you going into the situation and, you know, inserting yourself in that, right? Whether it be that the right thing to do morally or not, I'm just saying that getting yourself not involved in anything is usually the best case to go home.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is it morally correct for myself? Probably not.
So let's talk about the second type. Second type has a little bit of morals involved with it because obviously there's a commitment to one's family, and not even necessarily family. But like
friends,
right, friends. So like, for instance, if I'm cruising around with Brendon and he gets into trouble, I mean, Brendon and I are not related, right? But
maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it's a little weird. But if something happens where he's in trouble, I'm gonna go help him, right? Because he's my friend. Hopefully the other way around too.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's basically whoever is with you at that time. Okay. So there's kind of like a limited range of I'm going to help my fellow man.
And this is actually the most common type of CCW holder out there.
It is.
Yeah. And because some majority of them just feel like they lack the skill to get involved in situations higher than, you know, just by themselves, right?
Right.
Which is a training issue. Come train with us. And secondly, these are guys and gals that are just like, I'm just trying to protect my family.
Right.
Which is totally okay, by the way. I get it, right?
Yeah, more than okay.
I get it. If I'm getting killed and you don't want to get involved because you don't want to deal with the prison time and whatnot, it sucks for me, but I get it, man. I really do. I understand. But it definitely sucks for me morally.
Yeah.
But this is the most common one out there. But in my opinion, this type of CCW holder stays in this realm because the lack of skill and training, right?
Could be.
Because a lot of these guys will never say, because I just want to protect my family. They always say, I'm just not confident to make that shot, Brendon. I'm just not confident to go in there CQB, right?
Could be.
What's the longest shot again, Charles Dickens? What it is?
40 yards.
40 yards, right?
Yep.
By the way, that guy, no military experience, just, it's badass. So that, right?
But
That's,
there's also, and 100% right on that by and large, but there is a percentage, I don't know what that is, but there is a sizable percentage of people that are just, their attitude is,
Right.
hey, I'm just minding my own business.
Right.
Right? If it doesn't
me and
have to,
family, yeah.
right, me and my family, minding my own business, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely
right?
nothing.
Part of it, there's a percentage that lacks the confidence, as Brendon just described. But there's also a sizable percentage that's like, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Right.
Okay? I don't want to get into a third-party encounter.
right. Because, I mean, as I said earlier, the first philosophy is usually the one that gets most people home to their
Right.
families, right? The third one, third-party encounters, like you're putting yourself into a different situation, right? That's not necessarily you firsthand. Most of the time, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't do it properly, I should say.
Right.
Right.
Now,
Unfortunately.
let's talk about the third
one,
philosophy, okay? Third philosophy, so people hang out here too, but that third philosophy of really being driven by morals to make these decisions, and it does bleed over into the legal side, and that is that it doesn't matter who it is, whether I know you or not, I'm gonna go ahead and get involved if you are in a position where you are in trouble in a life-threatening type of situation, right? So this one leaves you open to the most amount of risk of not coming home that night due to being in jail.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that. But depends, because your morals in your mind may trump the legal aspect of things.
Danger of the legal aspect.
Right, the danger of the legal aspect of things, because your morals are valued in your mind greater than what the legal aspect of things say.
Right. I mean, full disclosure, I'm definitely there. Right. I know that's me majority of the time. We'll talk about how sometimes people shift too, right? In these philosophies, but I know I'm there. I know that I've been blessed with the ability to train a lot because I work for this company. I was in the military, right? I know that if I see something go down and I could have done something, that's round 2 of PTSD, and that was expensive to get over it. So, so I know that's gonna be bad for me. And it was actually a conversation with Nancy recently. Some family member of ours was questioning, like, hey, would you think that Brendon would, react to a situation that put himself in danger, and even though you have him to come home to, right? Nancy's like, well, I also don't want an empty man to come home because he didn't do nothing.
Right.
Right. And usually this type of people lives in that moral compass, right? I'm not saying I'm a hero. That's not what I'm saying, because I haven't done anything yet. Believe it or not, it's third-party encounters like this doesn't necessarily just mean with a gun too, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good example recently was a convicted felon, mind you. Now he's past his probation.
Was he a convicted felon or unconvicted felon?
No, he was a convicted felon,
okay.
yeah. He couldn't own a gun, right?
Okay.
He can own now because they put special circumstances under him. He saw cops in a gunfight in the middle of a freeway.
Yeah.
And this dude, instead of running away, jumped out of his car because he saw a cop and dragged him to safety, right?
All right, come this way! Come this way!
Then I looked to my left and I saw that cop get shot.
I got you!
And that's when I grabbed that cop by his vest, and then the other cop and me and him, we dragged him all the way to the back of my work truck.
Police say they were chasing a carjacking suspect when he crashed into multiple vehicles, then started shooting at officers when approached by Officer Jake Gibson. As Lally stayed with Gibson, the gun battle continued.
You're gonna be okay, bro. I promise you that.
That is an example of that type of person. It doesn't have to be a gun, man. It could just easily be you're running, you see somebody pass out, you apply CPR, right? Or somebody's getting robbed, about to get stabbed or whatnot, you draw your gun and shoot the bad guy.
Right.
Remember that guy in Stanton, right?
Oh, yes.
He was delivering,
The
was
Uber
it
driver.
Uber driver or was
Or
it
like
DoorDash?
Uber, whatever.
Right, he saw somebody getting beat up.
Yep.
He drew his gun and shot.
Yep.
Right? And guess what? Nobody charged him.
No charges.
By the way.
Which, by the way,
Creates a precedence.
quite surprising. Quite surprising. Right.
OCSD. One thing that is to take note on this, though, is that Two things, actually. First, before you leave your house, you got to decide what you're at.
You got to really think about this.
Right.
The time to decide this is not in the moment.
Because we see it a lot on our scenarios class. One thing that I noticed is that they could be in the scenarios class, right? We observe them, and they draw too late because they're trying to go through their OODA loop, right? Trying to make that decision of like, hold up, do I get involved or do I just protect my girlfriend or wife or husband?
Right.
Right? And by the time they decide something, it's too late. They either got shot, got somebody else shot, right? So decide before you leave the house. You load up your gun, you holster up before you leave. Hey, am I willing to give a life, take a life today? One, that should be a question you should ask every single day when you're carrying a gun.
Actually, no matter which philosophy you subscribe to, that question, that covenant that you make with yourself today.
That too. But you got to decide, hey, like a guy could be philosophy number 3, but today he's with his wife and his baby, right? It ain't gonna be philosophy number 3, right?
It's more of
like babe class number 2, or he's by himself today, so it's different classification, right? But you gotta think about it before you head out there, because the last thing you want to do is now there's a mass shooter and you got 7 seconds to decide if you want to act or not act, and if you don't act, then fine, you live, but other people die.
Correct.
Or because you lack the decision-making cycle to think about it as fast as you can.
Right. So at the end of the day,
go up and down, man. Go up and down.
Figure out what philosophy you subscribe to, and go hang out in that philosophy. It takes a lot of thought because there's a lot of pros and cons, risk-reward kind of thing. I mean, think about it. Most people that have families and whatnot, they're going to hang out in the number 2 range. Most people that are single and this and that, they may hang out on 1, they may hang out on 3, something in between. So really think about it. If you're a CCW holder, it's great that you have that gun on your hip or wherever you have it, but really think about the parameters and what the consequences may be if you actually get into that gunfight and how that might drive your decision-making and or philosophy. So really think about that before you actually go about town with that gun on your hip.
One more aspect before we forgot, which is legal fees. Ernie?
Yeah, legal fees.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Not at all, especially in SoCal.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere.
But yes, primarily in the People's Republic. But legal fees. And part of this decision making, what philosophy you subscribe to, has to do with what legal backing you have. If you have no legal backing whatsoever, you're going to probably gravitate more towards a number 1. Okay? And the thing about it is that you don't want to get into any situation. First of all, you don't want to get into any situation, period.
Absolutely.
But you're going to be more reserved about it because this is out of pocket.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Which attorney am I going to have to deal with? That kind of thing. If you have something like the company like USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association, and their legal protection, then you feel a little bit more comfortable making the decision about going from philosophy 1 to 2 or even 3, right? And being able to play in that realm, not because it's your saving grace necessarily. You're still going to go through the legal stuff. It's just knowing that you have a company that's going to back you, so to speak, in regards to the legal protection and or fees.
Right. You don't want finances to be the decision-making factor for you not to defend yourself, right? Subscribe to USCCA, take that legal aspect out, and fully decide on the defense of yourself and others, mainly on the fact of what is happening right now, instead of having to think of, oh, can I afford this defense? Right. Which most 90% of people probably won't.
No.
Yeah. So you will owe money to people even if you defend yourself legally. So there's that.
Absolutely. All right, gang. So those are a couple things about the philosophies as it relates to carrying concealed. Just determine which philosophy you subscribe to. If you think all gun laws are an infringement and you live behind the enemy lines in the People's Republic of California, then check out our Unconvicted Felons t-shirt. Came out with this t-shirt design for you where most of us are fed up with the situation here in California. So check it out. Check out our website. Awesome t-shirt coming at you. And our new line of 2 arms where it stands for 2A Rights Matter. So check out our new t-shirt and help us feed our dog.